This year, we redeemed the hopeless, broke curses, slayed dragons, stopped cataclysms, assassinated turncoats, and survived a few of the most harrowing encounters in recent history. Simply put, 2018 was a good year for boss battles. These are some of the greatest. The Sleeper has awakened, and he doesn't look too happy about it. This big bad from Darkest Dungeons, A Color of Madness DLC, serves up a lethal dose of Lovecraftian horror, and is one of the most challenging foes to date in this roguelike tale of turn-based terror. Echoes of Bloodborne run throughout the entirety of The Color of Madness, which offers players a new region, new trinkets, a new enemy faction, and 3 new enemy bosses. One of those is a hateful shard of alien origin, known as Fracture during Phase 1 of the fight, and known as the Sleeper in its final form. Players encounter Fracture while exploring the Farmstead region. Once enough damage has been dealt, this star-spawned horror escapes its crystalline cage, and Phase 2 of the boss battle begins. Our heroes stand face to face with the limitless profanity of the stars incarnate as it ratchets up the stress level with its The Sleeper Awakens attack, or inflicting blight and horror with the Sleeper Stirs. Even in a game loaded with tough fights, the final form of this Cthulhu mythos menace is a force to be reckoned with. 2018 was a great year for Lovecraftian baddies, and Galaxy Mage Amulvaro represented star-spawned horrors in Death's Gambit, from White Rabbit and Adult Swim games. The suitably challenging villain earns its name because it wields the awesome cosmic power of the pulp horror sort, living up to the game's promise of truly unique boss fights.
Soon you will fade, and none will remember.
You can find the Galaxy Mage's lair atop the tower in the observatory area. Here, Amulvaro stands defiant against death and challenges you to a reality-bending duel to the finish, transporting you both to a nebulous battlefield set before a sprawling, cosmic backdrop. As you maintain your footing on the nearly invisible platforms, Amulvaro will teleport around the arena while attacking you with a lethal pair of eldritch blades. If you can survive all 3 phases of the Galaxy Mage's magical and physical attacks, the Gambit of the title is finally yours for the taking. A handful of titles on this list take some healthy inspiration from the Souls series, and 2018's God of War is no exception. Despite a relatively short stack of boss battles, this soft reboot of the classic PlayStation franchise packs a mean punch with memorable villains like Hraezlyr, the Mountain Terror. Shades of the Dragon God from Demon Souls and the Dark Souls Hellkite Drake combine with more traditional God of War mechanics to make for one mean and thrilling boss fight. Kratos and Atreus will first encounter the Dragon of the Mountain aboard a rickety wooden elevator. As Hraezlyr attempts to thwart your ascent, you'll get a really good sense of his enormous scale each time a massive claw comes tearing down. If you manage to survive this harrowing first phase of the encounter, you'll reach the top of the mountain for the real conflict. Although Hraezlyr doesn't quite match the size of the Titan Kronos from God of War 3, he's certainly the largest boss battle in the series of the 2018 reboot, and takes full advantage of Phase 2's huge mountaintop battlefield to remind you. After the dragon starts spitting lightning, you'll need to hurl Yggdrasil tree sap crystals towards his open mouth while avoiding your doom. After sufficient damage, Kratos will jam an oversized sap crystal through Hraezlyr's throat, and then it's all over but the crying. Marvel Spider-Man from Insomniac Games boldly reimagines several corners of the Spider-Verse, and manages to deliver a compelling climax on par with some of the greatest boss battles in video game history along the way. As the story of the game unfolds, Dr. Otto Octavius makes a slow and terrifying change, from a paragon of inspiration for Peter Parker to Dr. Octopus, Spider-Man's greatest nemesis, hell-bent on achieving his sinister aims.
Stay out of our way.
When we first meet this noble version of Octavius, he's hooked up to an early iteration of his infamous robotic arms. It's this dichotomy that drives a narrative conflict between Peter Parker and his 8-armed arch-enemy. The payoff comes during Spider-Man's last battle, a cinematic tour de force that takes full advantage of Insomniac's trademark brand of kinetic storytelling. After being pushed to the limits with battles against the rest of the Sinister Six, the epic endgame conflict on a rain-soaked rooftop provides the ultimate test of Spidey's skill and yours, and leads to the game's tragic, perfectly Spider-Man ending. Bethesda's online prequel for their award-winning Fallout franchise takes place 25 years after the bomb's fall, and in more ways than one, changes the way players look at this distinctive story of post-nuclear America. With its desolate, depopulated wasteland, Fallout 76 lacks the traditional NPC-based quest structure of the Bethesda RPG, instead emphasizing player agency and event-based moments to shape the narrative of Fallout 76. The most impressive of those moments comes from a host of new enemies native to the West Virginia wasteland, and the most savage by far is the Scorchbeast Queen, the biggest, baddest version of the bat-like dragon monsters responsible for the Scorched Plague. You're told that the only way to stop the plague is with a nuclear missile, but actually using one will awaken the Scorchbeast Queen and a handful of her terrifying minions. Congratulations, you've just triggered the Scorched Earth event and what is likely the deadliest encounter Fallout 76 has to offer. Good luck, Survivor, you're gonna need it. Selecting the best boss of a Monster Hunter release is no easy task, especially when it's 2018's award-winning Monster Hunter World. Capcom's series of hack-and-slash RPGs is notorious for its use of sprawling sandboxes and epic reptilian enemies. The latest installment takes players to a new setting, full of gigantic monsters and epic locales. That journey leads our hero face-to-face with many gargantuan baddies itself, but the toughest Elder Dragon you'll encounter is a Teostra, who was introduced into the series back in Monster Hunter 2. Not only will you have to survive Teostra's lava-flawed domain, the ancient dragon combines fast movement with powerful hits and an array of fire attacks that can make short work of inadequately equipped or inexperienced hunters. Stock up on fire resistance and take full advantage of the beast's breakable head, wings, and tail to turn the tide. The free-to-download Adventure Pack DLC for Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom from Bandai Namco promised new challenges for experienced players, along with even stronger new bosses. It definitely delivered on that front with Zeta, the mischievous mistress of vast disasters, and Blackheart, a ferocious six-eyed black dragon. You'll find Blackheart the Winnower on the 40th floor of the faraway forest maze, which can only be accessed on hard or expert difficulties. Gamers versed in the Dark Souls series of games may recognize some passing similarities to the Black Dragon Calamite, not only in terms of aesthetics, but in terms of the villain's moveset as well. Like the other Dreamer's Maze bosses, Blackheart's threat level increases proportionally to the danger level inside the maze. Furthermore, the dragon will summon 2 additional bosses throughout the course of this encounter to spread you thin. Defeating Blackheart and safely escaping the maze will reward players with a trophy and other in-game bonuses. But nothing is as satisfying as knowing you've beaten the biggest and baddest Revenant Kingdom could throw at you. On top of uncharted regions to explore and long-lost secrets to discover, Destiny 2's Forsaken DLC challenges players to storm the gates and defeat the evil at the heart of the city, in a massive raid called Last Wish. The aforementioned evil is Destiny 2's biggest baddie, Riven of 1,000 Voices, an enormous fire-spewing tentacle-lashing monstrosity that's been called the ultimate Destiny 2 battle. The frantic all-out battle takes place in a cathedral-like arena where countless smaller enemies attack before Riven itself emerges, looking like a massive shellfish on PCP who's out for revenge. It's a sprawling, arduous battle, but thanks to Riven's varied attacks and the endless wave of enemies, it never gets boring. Instead, it becomes exactly the kind of harrowing climatic experience that serves as a culmination of everything Destiny has to offer. Trophies and achievements are a dime a dozen in video games, but getting the raid badge for Riven of 1,000 Voices actually means something. One of Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire's most interesting villains, the undead Archmage Consohot made his debut in the original game, but this time around he's made a few more enemies. You'll encounter Consohot in Deadfire during the Bacana's Folly quest, which tasks the Watcher with tracking down research notes from the orrery at Bacama's observatory. Consohot wants to research for his own nefarious purposes, and he's not too happy when you show up on behalf of the Circle of Archmagi. No matter how civil you keep the conversation, a fight with the wizard and his cronies is in store for your fated group of adventurers. An array of spells like Iron Skin, Arcane Dampener, and Arcane Reflection keep Consohot buffed and your party at a severe disadvantage, while aggressive abilities like Chain Lightning, Lich's Gaze, and Nightmare Gaze bring the pain. He is an undead wizard after all, and he's got plans of his own for the Deadfire. But Consohot is the gift that keeps on giving. After you defeat this foe in battle, he'll drop the Consohot Skull Pet, which allows you to enjoy the cantankerous old Archmage's colorful expressions as you continue your quest through the Deadfire archipelago.
Why are you carrying so many eggs? Surely they will spoil.
All roads lead to Galdera in Octopath Traveler. This turn-based tactical RPG from Square Enix allows players to step into the role of 8 different travelers whose journeys crisscross as they explore the fantasy realm of Austera. Galdera the Fallen is one of the 13 gods who created the realm and serves as the game's true final boss. You'll have to endure 2 phases of this grueling fight to win, if you're lucky or skilled enough that is, to survive the 8 mini-boss marathon right before your epic endgame duel at the Gate of Finis. Once you reach Journey's End, Galdera's daughter Liblac will commence the ritual to summon her abhorrent father from beyond, promising that the world will know his fury. But wait, there's more. It turns out that you're part of the plan to return Galdera to life. At least your soul is, since he intends to rip it out and feast on it to give him power. During Phase 1, you'll battle the Omniscient Eye, which summons a set of 3 soul enemies until you whittle away all 500,000 of its hit points. Eventually, Galdera the Fallen rears his ugly head for Phase 2, and if the Blade of the Fallen and the Abyssal Maw don't kill you, the struggle of taking on his insanely huge hit point total just might. This final boss battle is one lengthy and challenging fight, but then again, Octopath Traveler is a game about the journey, not the destination. The Messenger from indie developer Sabotage tells the story of a young ninja who must venture through a cursed world to deliver a mystical scroll and spare his village from an encroaching demon army. It's a retro-inspired action platformer that serves as a love letter to the Nintendo and Super Nintendo eras, with huge plot twists that are literally game-changing. And just like those Golden Age titles that inspired it, The Messenger features a healthy balance of adrenaline-fueled level grinding and epic stage-ending boss battles. The most impressive of these bosses is the Messenger's ultimate antagonist, the Phantom, who pulls out all the stops to remind you of every game mechanic you've been expected to learn and master so far. After players return all 6 musical notes to the Prophet in the Tower of Time, they'll encounter the Phantom at the very end of the music box area. His tactics include hurling projectiles or hovering near the top of the screen, teleportation, time manipulation, a laser grid, and an organ-controlled set of twin laser beams. This is a deadly combination of abilities, but any player sufficiently trained in the game's crisp, responsive controls should be able to thwart the Phantom and free him from the very curse that sent you on your fated mission in the first place.